Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of I'm Gonna Talk and You're Gonna Listen, Chance Paladin, and of course, undisciplined dogs barking in the background that aren't mine. Today's episode is brought to you by being really patient, and I think that's gonna be the core of today's episode. I've been really holding off on doing another episode just because, trying to make sure everything's in order for the next big thing, whatever the next big thing is, and was trying to get the right level of caffeination and the right level of rest and mental preparedness. So for the two people that listen to this, then making sure that I'm being at peak mental capacity as good as I can be, at least. And yeah, so I've got a million topics to go over. I want to talk about patience first, though. There's this weird dichotomy in life where you want things to speed up so you can get to the thing that you see, because you need to know to get you need to get there, so you naturally want to speed up to get to that thing. And I've noticed in life that is when you tend to always miss living, A, and B, when you seem to make the most mistakes. So examples of that are childhood, when you feel like it's taking forever to grow, physically, so you can't reach something. Or later on, in junior high and high school, where you realize you want to just get done with school and get out, but then after you get out, it's you want to just go back and realize you want to just relive junior high and high school over and over and over again. Whether it be because the music, the culture, your friends, maybe working in fast food was fun, a little bit, nostalgia, I don't know. But you realize, and then college, obviously, you see your goal and you want to reach your goal, but then you realize sometimes reaching that goal, the last 5% of reaching that goal, seems to take an exponential amount of work and effort, and then you get there, and then obviously you realize that you've reached a peak, and then there's going to be a valley, and then there's just going to be another mountain to climb that's even higher. And yeah, there was an Adam Sandler movie about this called Click, which started out as a really interesting premise, but the third and final act was just really discouraging, I guess. It could have been a really fun movie, but instead it kind of ends up being this crazy cautionary tale of I don't know, sadness. I can't think of the right word right now. I had this word the other day when I was thinking about this, but I can't. This tragedy. It turns from a comedy into a tragedy, and I don't like movies that are comedies that turn into tragedies. Yeah. Anyway, not a fan. I may lose a lot of friends. Well, not friends, but I may lose people when I talk about how I don't like tragedies and stuff. All of a sudden people don't want to talk to me anymore because I don't like the thing that they like. Tragedies to me just aren't redeeming. So I like to see the positives in life, or at least see reality and not focus on like contrived tragedies. So yeah, working on software projects or hardware projects, manufacturing, any kind of project, there's this affinity for getting the project done by any means necessary in as much crunch time as possible. And I think with video games, they've especially suffered from this, where there's always going to be another game and there's always going to be another crunch time. And there actually, maybe a lot of the issue seems to be with this competing strategy of people who want to bird dog a project as long as possible, whether it be a video game or otherwise, because they know that's their money, or maybe they're too afraid to try to get on another project or whatever. Which, yeah, it sucks, because you can just, if you're a contractor, just forget about raising a family. It's horrible. Not that everybody should be guaranteed a position every time, but unfortunately just a lot of just pieces of garbage that have no business being employed anywhere seem to be the ones that maintain the optics and get hired and then get escalated, then they get all their buddies hired while all the hard workers get all the credit stolen from them. And so you have the hard workers carrying the projects. They're the ones whose lives are just being whisked away, and you realize 1 or 2 months of grinding turns into 6 months of grinding, and you just lost half a year. And it's really scary to think about that, like, crap, something's in my eye. Like, high school was only 3 years, right? And sure, there's a lot of people that, like, goofed off, or college. But you can equate any of those things to, like, a project and the natural life cycle of a project. Whether it's like a manufacturing or software or building a building, they take like maybe 1 to 3 years. You realize, like, junior high and high school was like nothing. College was like nothing. College was only like 4 years. That's nothing, right? It only turns into something if you just do it over and over and over and forget to live, unless you are one of those people that's able to compartmentalize everything and like live during the project that you're working on. And that's why in my books I always take breaks. I don't ever grind on like 2 books back to back. I'll grind on 2 books simultaneously, but I'll never like do a book and then immediately jump into another one. And maybe that's why I've just tended to work on my books simultaneously, because that way I can take a break. I don't know. Or I'll work on 2 different types of my book projects, one after the other. Like, typically I'll write a book or 2, and then I'll edit a book or 2, which gives me time to live my life. But I've noticed as I'm getting older that there are so many people that just do not give a shit and just disappear for weeks on end. Sometimes 2, 3, 4 people at the same time. I've had this problem ever since I've entered the professional workforce, where the harder you try to work, the harder it seems to be to lock anybody down. And so I have a YouTube video about like all the popular interview questions, and I think one of the popular ones is like, how do you structure your workload? How do you deal with competing priorities? How do you order and organize projects? And it all revolves around what takes the longest and who's the hardest to get a hold of, since you're dealing with so many people that have so many competing priorities. But what none of those interview questions ever ask you is, how do you take time for your own life? Which I would argue to take time to live your own life, to be specific. And the people that do that inevitably actually don't care about any of the downstream impacts. And when you factor in like work-life balance, there's people that take their project and their team into consideration when they take voluntary time off versus involuntary, like losing a loved one or whatever. I can't remember who it was. There was some YouTuber. I wish I could remember who it was, and they were talking about how, I want to say it was like trains, like when the train people were going on strikes, which was a fake strike, in my opinion. Had it been a real strike, they would have actually, got some real concessions, and I don't think they did. I think the whole thing was BS. But I remember a lot of these like complaints were the train driver people saying how they missed their kids' little bullshit events at school or whatever. It's so insane and offensive to me that people think that they deserve time off outside of the time off that they already get. Like, if your family is the most important thing to you, you make the time to do it. If you decided that you wanted a family, you're going to have to realize that there's certain jobs you will and won't be able to do. You're going to miss tons of your family events if you do certain jobs. Like, I worked swings and graves at a job, and they technically gave me like something like 18 hours off, including sleep, for my wedding. And I'll never forget that. I basically got off my shift, went to sleep, woke up, we got married. Barely came back with the wedding gifts, and they were already calling me to come into the office early, even though they knew I had just got home from being married, which should have been and was, but it should have been treated as one of the most important days of my life. However, nobody else is going to treat it that way. Only me and my wife and my family. However, your employer doesn't care. They only care when it's them, not you. And you have to make time for those things. You have to strategize. And I don't mean like making time for them like just walk off, or, it's St. Patrick's Day, I'm just going to no-call, no-show to my job and then get thrown in jail or something stupid like that. Like, you've got to understand that, like, going to your kid's karate practice or ballerina practice or whatever, like, if you don't go get a job that supports you doing those things, you're choosing your career over your family. Your career is not going to bend the universe around you. They will for each other and themselves, but not for you, because you're not a part. Well, especially if you're listening to this podcast, all two of you. The universe is not bending its will around you. You have to bend the universe around yourself. You have to make that room around you if it's something important. And that means not just heads down charging through life, especially as we get closer and closer to the collapse. We're running out of time, but we're running out of time completely on our own fault. You know, I just spent almost 6 straight months working on a project, and I completely gave up on living for almost 6 months. I still did these podcast things, I still did my books and stuff, but like so much of that was either on autopilot or just like squeezing out like the last bits of any creativity or soul that I had left. And what did I really get for it? Well, I won't know until tomorrow, because sooner or later you're going to let your guard down. Sooner or later you're going to have to take a break and give yourself you time where you don't create things. Time for like the universe to reconcile is what I call it. And as soon as you take a day off, just Murphy's Law, like that's when everything is going to start resolving itself. And then those things that resolve themselves are going to have to wait for you. And you have to be able to accept that as being reality. And so, if you don't check your phone for a day, and that's going to finally be the day that you get the phone call, unless it's like your wife being in the hospital having your baby or something, then don't be a piece of shit and actually watch your phone every 10 seconds. But like, take the time to like not watch your phone. And are those going to be the days when super important things happen? Yeah, absolutely. Like, your loved one could be in the hospital and dying, and you could have been there to see their last words, maybe. Assuming they even let you in the hospital. I mean, forget that whole side thing, but we'll pretend that it's normal and you can get into hospitals. Like, you're going to miss loved ones dying. You're going to not be there when they pass away. And they may very well end up dying alone. And your kid may be at karate practice without you. But like, this is the world that we're living in. You know? You have to be able to unplug sometimes. And there's going to be sacrifices for that. And if this sounds horrible, I think you're missing the point. The point is that if you take more time off, and I'm not saying be like a useless piece of shit, but like, you can't be on all the time. If you are on all the time, you will be shut off when you really need to be on. You won't be emotionally available because everyone expects you to have your phone on 24 hours a day for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 months in a row. They'll expect, but you won't be emotionally, physically, mentally there when they finally do need you. And so that doesn't mean shut your phone off like when you know shit's about to hit the fan. It means recognizing that like when everything is lulled and relaxed, to practice shutting your phone off, putting it in airplane mode. Like a lot of preppers talk about practice shutting all your electricity off and stuff, and you should totally practice that too. Practice your off-grid stuff. But a lot of that starts with like shutting your phone off a little bit. I mean, obviously, like make sure that your family's not out and about where they could have like flat tires and stuff. And then sit there and watch football like a jackass. But that doesn't mean like sitting at home with the family all with their phones off, but at least they're all together. I mean, maybe it does. Maybe it just means going for a walk together as a family and shutting your phones off. If you have a family, or if you're alone, you know, making sure all your friends are okay first, you know, and say, hey, I'm shutting my phone off for a couple hours. That way they don't worry about you and start trying to find you. I mean, but what I'm saying is like, start to set a routine of when you're like not always available. That way, if you ever need to not be available, and I don't mean like people shouldn't like trust or rely on you anymore. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like condition your team, your group, your allies, your friends, your family, condition them that you're not the one that they 100% rely on. Because especially like your work, they're going to kick you to the curb eventually anyway. And that's happened to me before. I don't think being the person that everybody relies on is a winning strategy. I don't think it's a viable strategy long term, because it will be with the people that value it, but I can tell you I've lost almost every single friend and work friend, acquaintance, not friends, but acquaintances, because being the reliable one doesn't hold a lasting value. It's not something you can put on your resume because nobody's going to believe it. They can only see it through actions, but like sooner or later at work, even the people who value it, they're not going to be your boss forever. You're going to end up having bosses who aren't reliable and do not give a shit about you being reliable because they don't value it. They don't care. Part of what I'm saying could be interpreted as surround yourself with people who care about you being reliable, but sooner or later you're going to get sick. You're going to wear yourself out. You're going to get burnt out. And after you've pushed through all that, you'll still have realized that being ultra reliable hasn't technically accomplished very much unless you've been doing things for yourself and being reliable for yourself. Because just rushing through everything heads down, trying to be everywhere at once, doesn't actually accomplish everything that you think it does. You end up missing life. And you end up not being there for the people who really matter, which are the people closest around you that actually trust and rely on you to be reliable. So, you know, if you want to show up for every single one of little Timmy's karate practices, you're going to have to form your life around that. not form your life about being reliable for work, but form your life about being reliable for your family, your unit, your group, whatever. The people that value you being reliable. Because it will not be your work. If it is, it won't be forever. This show is filmed in front of a live studio audience, and my wonderful chat says, "Hi everyone, bless y'all. Love is the magic key." And that's a great way to put it. I was checking one of my socials and noticed several of my closest work associates of prior jobs had all actually deleted their socials, and so those people would have been most of the closest people I relied on. And then kind of like the second most closest people that I relied on aren't messaging back on their socials. And not that you're like in love with the people that you work with, but you develop close bonds with those people for a long time, and you realize, for whatever reason, those people aren't going to be there anymore. You only have the people absolutely closest to you. Because a lot of your like work associates, they'll cease to exist to you as soon as you're outside of their influence, or they're outside of your influence, because they, out of sight, out of mind, someone else will be vying for their attention. I've just lost so many friends, acquaintances. I've lost so many acquaintances. And you think social media would have helped with that? Like, if I could have somehow stayed in touch with all of my high school friends. But actually, it has nothing to do. Like, social media has not helped with that at all, besides sharing stupid family pictures with fake family members. With that sunk cost fallacy of getting off of social media. Like, those are all fake senses of relationship. Chat says, everyone today is so split apart, it's sad. How sad exactly? Everyone I know has left, family is gone. I have a new family that cares. Exactly. Real family is going to understand that you're not always physically there. I think that perfectly encompasses exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, I haven't seen my brother in 6 months. That doesn't mean that he ceases to exist for me, because I don't sit there and demand his attention and make him reprove his worth over and over again. But that's exactly what work does. And I had it out sort of kind of with somebody a couple weeks ago where they were mad at a prior coworker that wasn't always there. And whether or not they were lying about their time because they were billing, yeah, I know. To me, that's separate. I don't give a shit about that. That's a whole other problem. People billing their time is a personal pet peeve of mine, because I don't think... I believe in quality over quantity, but people don't pay you for more quality time. That's a different problem. My issue, why I would have preferred working with this person over several others, is even if she only worked like 5 or 10 hours a week, regardless of what she was actually billing, her like 5 hours a week were better than most people's months and months and months worth of work. Who are just like shitbirds who bill, their 40 hours or whatever the hell they bill. But their work was useless. Not only useless, but they effectively caused me more work with how useless they were. And so it's like, would I rather have like 5 or 10 hours a week or even a month of somebody who actually produced like legitimate quality work, or people who work for months and months, who are technically there maybe sometimes, but they either produce garbage work or they cause me to do even more work. And different people value different things. And like my brother, just because I don't physically see him doesn't mean he's still not adding value to my life by him still existing. You know, he doesn't have to be like actively producing things for me all the time for me to value his existence. And yet that's exactly what work does. If they don't see butts in chairs and you producing shit and lying about your time to where they're actually getting even more from you than what you're being compensated for, or being vastly undercompensated while trying to guilt you into thinking that, you know, how dare you cost them more money, even though some of them get like 6-8 weeks of vacation where they're not producing anything. What the hell is that all about? It's like, oh, do they work harder than everybody else so they deserve more time to rest because when they're back at work they're producing more value? No, of course not. Most of those people don't produce anything. Some of them assume more risk, but most of them are on committees where they're not making any decisions and they're just deferring all of their responsibility. And I'm not complaining that there's like some giant wage gap or wealth gap. I think most people are confused and that most money is worthless now unless you're making 6 figures a year with you and your family together. You're probably not making it right now in most places in the US. 35-40 an hour in the cities is poverty line. I don't give a shit what anybody says. My memories truly enhance my life. Joy and heartache doesn't matter. Good overrules bad. Yep. Thank you for that. The problem is companies need to be paying enough money to actually sustain their employees. And I don't mean like work life, living wage. I think living wage is just modern day slavery. And I don't think that bankrupting executives to pay their employees one more penny fixes everything either. And I do know that corporations have to put money away for R&D. I get all that. I don't know how I would solve that if I was running the company, except suffice it to say it would probably be some kind of meritocracy where people actually get paid by how much value they bring to the company. So if it was a restaurant, I don't care if you're the dishwasher or the busboy girl or you know how to cook steaks really well. Like, it's going to boil down, or you're the person that mixes the drinks behind the bar, or you're the person who plays the banjo or the piano. Whatever kind of, I don't know, did it turn into a saloon? I don't know. The point is like, you're going to get paid based on the value you bring in. And so if the person that is waiting the tables or is seating everybody is somehow bringing in more people than everybody else, and people don't give a shit about the food and they're just ordering drinks or whatever, then those people are just going to get paid more. Like, and if they don't get paid enough to be able to live in that area, I'm going to keep adjusting the prices around. And sure, are their paychecks going to be really screwed up as they get paid all these like different wonky amounts? Yeah, probably, because I'm going to be sitting there with an accountant trying to figure out how much everybody should be getting paid and how much I can price everything. And I'm going to try to figure out how to improve everything else to hopefully try to bring everybody up. But if everybody only wants cheeseburgers, then we're going to try to make the best cheeseburgers we can. And we're going to try to make them as affordably as we can. But like the person who's making the cheeseburgers, maybe they're not making as much as the French fries. Appreciate you. In chat, I see you there. I'm keeping everyone's names out for anonymous purposes, but I do appreciate you. Thank you for being here. But like, if everybody orders the damn French fries and nobody's ordering the cheeseburgers, like, I don't want the cheeseburger person to get screwed. I'm gonna be like, hey, cheeseburger person, like, let's get with the fry person and try to make cheeseburger French fries so I can try to bring everybody up together. I'm not gonna, like, if I end up with like a super hot person that seats everybody and that's like the celebrity because they do something or they look cool or they sound cool or maybe they sing songs as everyone's sitting down, like, that person's going to be the star of the show, but I'm going to try to bring everybody else up. I'm not going to just exploit that person and not compensate them, and I'm going to try to build the team around them so there isn't all this resentment. Nobody cares about anyone but themselves. I don't need recognition. That is important. Recognition, I did a whole video about recognition. And I'm not talking about recognition. I'm talking about like meritocracy and compensation. So, like, let's get rid of the whole restaurant metaphor for a second. If everybody started coming to my chat or my show because of you, because of how awesome you are, and like on a meritocracy based system, I would start trying to support you. And it's not recognizing you, it's building up everything around you since you're the one bringing all the value. Not me, but you. Like, none of this is about me. It's about the team. And so you might not want recognition, but let's say, and you might not even want money, but let's say there's a, you like cats, and so there's a cat shelter that you want to support that's a no-kill, non-profit cat shelter, right? You might not want anything, but that might be where your heart is. I don't know. And so you say, well, I bring lots of love here, and I appreciate your meritocracy system, but I don't want any of your money. So please help me support this cat shelter. And so I go, okay, fair enough. If you don't need any support, then my appreciation to you will be proxied to this cat shelter, let's say, for example. And so there's lots of different ways you can do it, but I believe in meritocracy. I don't believe in traditional family units, because I think family is just like your enemies that you're forced to be around. I believe in like a real family, a nuclear merit-based system where everybody sticks together and helps each other. And that's why I don't understand everyone wanting to kick their children out of their house the second they hit 18. I get that kids are annoying as hell, and I get like wanting the family back, wanting your house back to yourself and try to live, a couple years in peace after rearing some little bastard for 18 years, which, by the way, is at least partially your fault. But like, if you raise a kid for 18 years, that kid should be your ally. So either you're sending them out to the world to go be smarter so they can come back and support you more, or something. But I don't understand wanting to throw somebody out after investing 18 years into their life. Going back to like the coworker thing, that would be like training a coworker for 18 years and then just arbitrarily throwing them out. Which is what it feels like. You work on a project and then they just arbitrarily throw you out after they invested all this time and energy into you. There are places that will totally do that. I worked at a place for 5, 6, 7 years, and then one day they just kicked me to the curb. I knew everything about that place inside and out, and they didn't value it anymore. And that's insane to me. That shouldn't be a thing. They're all part of you. Your family's all a part of you. But they can also be like blood-sucking parasites that add no value. In which case, while you're linked by blood, I don't think you should be under any obligation to raise and support family members that are absolutely like blood-sucking liars and thieves. Like, they're just detriments to your life. And I think that's a huge part of the homeless population right now, are people that have been kicked out of their homes or their families' homes, partially because, yeah, they couldn't pay for them anymore and like this and that and price and but a lot of it's like drugs and theft, and their family members just got sick of supporting them because they were emotional and literal physical parasites. Whereas like there's other people that are stuck being homeless that need actual legitimate help, that are being institutionally victimized. The problem is like society doesn't have the emotional capacity to tell the difference between people who just got sick and tired of paying taxes and their mortgage one day and decided it would be just more fun to sit curled up and do a ball shooting drugs until you die, and people who are being institutionally victimized. There's people out there in horrible situations that are being trafficked every day that nothing is being done about because people are distracted by tents and garbage and stinkiness and needles and people twitching and curled over and stuff. They don't see that just underneath the surface are victims being trafficked left and right, up and down the I-5 corridor and back and forth across from New York and New Jersey to Seattle, Portland, LA, San Francisco. They don't see this vast criminal network of trafficking because they're just mentally blocked at like these parasites. And they don't see that like within the parasites there's this like insipid evil, because they don't understand like the value of humanity anymore. These people are now out of sight and out of mind, and they only see tent people. They don't see that like there's a whole criminal organization, multiple criminal organizations and institutional organizations that are exploiting these people, and this population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what you would traditionally be able to call like the civilized, quote unquote, part of our society is feeding this beast by continually kicking people out of our houses that aren't emotional and physical parasites, and just creating this bigger and bigger and bigger monster. Like, there's people in those tents that are perfectly fine, that don't want to be in them, that are being horrifically victimized daily, beyond words. But even the people that purported sympathizers are absolutely clueless as to what actually needs to be done. And the ones that even have an inkling of what's going on don't have the backbone to do what needs to be done. And it's horrible. We live in this apathetic society of fake BS, because nobody anymore has the emotional intelligence. I used to think emotional intelligence was like BS, but I very quickly understood it's almost like an analytical component to be able to break down who exactly deserves empathy versus sympathy, versus simply being able to understand and recognize why people do what they do without necessarily having to agree with it. Being able to compartmentalize everything into systems, whether you agree with them or not. And unfortunately, understanding how broken society is doesn't make us any more safe. And if you were to do anything to try to fix it, you would be thrown in jail. And it blows my mind that, like, these horrific things happening to people can be broadcast all over Twitter, and they can be broadcast all over the news. Just the rampant amounts of trafficking going on, essentially modern day slavery, all over the news, and not a single person does anything about it. And I know, like, I've probably been guilty of saying, like, if you think everybody else should do something about it, then maybe you're the one that should be doing something about it. But I realized, like, you can't go down there and do anything about it. You'll get thrown in jail. All right. So that's sort of kind of the end of that thought. And so I'm going to go into a little bit of housekeeping. Usually I do housekeeping at the beginning, but I didn't want to warm up. I wanted to jump right in. So a little bit of housekeeping. On my last episode, I was talking about the whole hair cutting metaphor, like how when you go get your hair cut, you're paying the extra money to look good right away when you get out of the hair salon or whatever. But my wife's been cutting my hair for a long time because it just saves an insane amount of money. And she's always self-conscious about it, but I always remind her, like, in a day or so it's going to look fine, which it always does. And I wear a hat anyway most of the time, just because the light bugs my eyes. And actually my headphones fit better over my hat. But anyway, plus it's just nice, to get the hair off your neck and stuff. And I always tell her, my hair is going to look fine in a day or so. And I really appreciate it. And plus it's like time together, which is really nice. Cooking together and the haircuts together and stuff's really nice. Like, I didn't have that much of, like, even though my mom always cut my hair as a kid, I didn't really like it. I hated it, actually. But I think a huge part of it is we didn't have a shaver. She actually like used her scissors, which is just still horrifically frightening to me, having scissors that close to my head. My wife can just do the whole thing pretty much with like the shaver deal, and it ends up taking like 10 minutes, and it's a really nice experience. Fun side note, the battery operated shaver deals are garbage, and we have like the plug-in one, which by the way is like infinitely more powerful, but it's funny, it takes almost no watts. So we just brought like the Goal Zero outside, a little one with the inverter, and the little shaver deal, even though it's like a plug-in, uses such little power that it wasn't even like registering on the inverter of the Goal Zero, which is insane. Anyway, she did a great job, and it looked fine, it felt fine. And obviously, like gals, you should go to a salon and get pampered and stuff. But like for guys, you're really only paying to look good the second you walk out of the salon. The next day, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference anymore. So I wanted to finish up on that thought from my last episode. I think I got distracted and didn't finish that thought, so that's really what you're paying for. And is that really worth like the extra 10 or 20 bucks? I don't think so. But you should send your gals to the salon so they can look pretty and pampered. And don't forget to tell them their hair looks good when they get home, or you're a piece of shit. Okay. My next big topic I wanted to talk about is digital preservation, which I swear I've probably talked about this before, keeping your videos and books on SD cards and keeping your SD cards in EMP bags or Faraday boxes or whatever, keeping some kind of tablet or e-reader or something in there too, so you can have movies and videos, both for fun and for educational and books, keeping like a digital library of sorts. And you can keep like, some encrypted passwords in there too, in case you need to remember passwords for anything, or crypto wallets, so on and so forth. Not your keys, not your crypto. And again, I still believe that crypto has a future past this economic crash. Gold, I think, is garbage. I'm sorry. It's neat, but I mean, if you really think you're going to be going out during the collapse and walking around with a gold coin to go buy a tractor or something, I'm just not sure about that. Silver, yes, silver's cool. Gold, probably not. Maybe way later. I don't believe gold is going to go up with inflation. None of this is financial advice. I just don't think gold's going to go up with inflation. I think gold is a fickle, scary beast. Whereas I think silver much better. But anyway, crypto. I still think crypto's like Litecoin, for example, which may not be as decentralized as I wish it was, which may be its only final remaining weakness. I still think it's like awesome how fast you can send Litecoin around, and it's super cheap. And so I think like this is an aside to digital preservation, but like as you're building this like Faraday box with your SD cards, some kind of like reader, if you can take the battery out of your reader so it can't leak and explode, that'd be great. Because batteries need to breathe, which is a whole other weird ball game. This isn't an episode about how to properly digitally preserve things in Faraday boxes and bags, so do your own research. But in there I would keep like your crypto wallets. Make sure that it's good tech. Also with crypto, you got to make sure that the wallets are stored on a standard protocol in case you have to move your crypto, migrate your crypto off of one wallet and onto another one. I can't remember if I cover all of that in my bunker book, even though it has a crypto section. Whoopsie. I should look that up and see if I cover one of the, just like I'm going down a crypto rabbit hole, which I didn't mean to. But I used to be really upset at wallet manufacturers because I'm like, well, this is really just an authenticator and my crypto's on your exchange. But really they're wallets. They're wallet IDs that I can just import to any exchange because I have the keys. So I can just migrate the hardware wallet by opening up a compatible wallet of any manufacturer and just plugging back in the key codes. So that's kind of an interesting, like, that's something you definitely cannot do with a bank. I can't just go to a new bank and throw in my login and password and access my bank account. But you could totally do that with crypto. Some people might see that as a negative, but to me that's a positive. So if, say in the crazy world that, you know, Silicon Valley Bank or Credit Suisse actually go down, which I'm sure that could never happen. Wink, wink. But like, if that was all in crypto, all you'd have to do is just go to another exchange or go to another hardware wallet, put your seed info in there, and it just unlocks all of your crypto again into a new wallet. And obviously, like, these passwords that you have to put in are these huge seed phrases. I missed some chat, had to go to the ER yesterday, bone spurs, and I'm so sorry. Yes. Lots of prayers. Hang in there for the best outcome. Definitely lots of praying to go around. This is all recorded, by the way, so if you ever want to watch the old episode or listen to the old episodes, they're all on YouTube. So yeah, you can just like resurrect your wallet using the seed phrase. Nurses here. Okay, take care. Appreciate you. And I really should have written down exactly how to recover seed phrases and stuff. That's something that really should have went in my bunker book. And pause this really quick and see if it's in there. Yeah, so I guess I'm always finding things that didn't make it into the bunker books. And how to migrate wallets is not in there, and it totally should be. I haven't talked about that in a long time. But I bet I can go on the crypto forums and go find my old posts where I used to tell people how to migrate based on the different standards of the different wallets. I'm probably not going to update the bunker books with that because formatting the hardbound takes hours. Yeah. And I kind of told people I was done, and I don't want to start a part 2. Although a lot of people have asked me, like, why don't you just start a bunker codes part 2? And maybe that's what I need to do. Start a bunker codes part 2 with more advanced stuff in it. That was always the intent, but what happens is, like, the lines really got blurred between what was like intro level and like intro going into intermediary. Like, if I'm going to talk about this, I probably need to explain this. That's how a lot of the book got created. And so if I do another write-up about crypto, maybe it does just need to be in like a bunker book part 2. Or maybe what I could do is, Amazon has this feature now where you can write like little mini books, and I think they're pretty affordable. And so maybe that's what I'll do. Granted, I think I found some thoughts that kind of trail off in the paperback when I was writing the hardbound, and I think I forgot to fix those. I don't know. So maybe I don't want to add any more content, though. People get pissed at me. But yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. Because I want to do some stuff. I want to do some more writing about digital preservation also. And I wanted to write some stuff about training versus practice. There's a lot of stuff that I just like gloss over, which I shouldn't do in a newbie book, but like, it's so hard to cover every single like dynamic. Especially since like I had imposter syndrome there for like quite a while as I built up my confidence and proved that like nobody had written a book like this with such great, like a wide variety of stuff from so many different sources. So I feel a lot better about it now. Anyway, back to, so more on crypto later. I need to find some of my old, well, yeah, how most of Bunker Book was written wasn't me plagiarizing people's stuff. It was me gathering tons and tons and tons of info and then trying tons of stuff for myself to figure out what worked, and then writing these huge blog posts all over the internet for like 15 years. And a lot of it was old blog posts of my own that I put together, and then all the references of all the YouTube channels and that I would conglomerate things from, and then try it and see what worked and what didn't work, and see what was BS and wasn't BS. So it'll be the same thing with crypto. Like, I didn't steal all this info I know about crypto. I didn't like rip that off of somebody's YouTube channel. Like, it's from tons and tons and tons and tons of research. In fact, especially with crypto, the reason why I did so much of my own research is, especially if you go to look up like the hardware wallets on YouTube, they don't use the use cases. Like, they're crypto people and they're techno nerds. They're not preppers. And so all of their crypto stuff doesn't factor in prepping at all. Doesn't factor in off-grid at all. And I had to like relearn myself and re-educate myself on all the crypto stuff. From the point of being a prepper, off-grid. Sorry, it was my brother. Speaking of my brother's messaging me. We're talking about some religious stuff. It's Sunday, and Sunday is like a religious day, and lots of fake Christians out there. And so I sat down and watched some Christian stuff this morning, and now I'm talking to my brother about it. It's pretty funny. We'll have a whole Christian episode again later. And I guess a plug for my Bunker Book hardbound. One of the massive sections of my Bunker Book hardbound is just tons of stuff on like my thoughts of Christianity. Which, by the way, I was supposed to do an episode on the Bunker Book hardbound, and I didn't do it. And I actually got my copy a couple days ago, and I think I was so busy scrambling, getting my orders done, getting like one big pre-order done. I think I forgot to even talk about it. Maybe I'll do a special episode of it tomorrow and kind of a review of the whole thing. But yeah, my whole thoughts on Christianity was almost completely left out of the original Bunker Codes, because I figured it was kind of ancillary to, it's important to prepping, but it turns a lot of people off because there are so many fake Christians out there. And But yeah, during the hardbound, a lot of people did ask for it, and it's like, well, if you want it, it's going to be in the hardbound. That way, like, you know what you're getting into instead of just being suddenly shanghaied with a bunch of religious stuff. So anyway, digital preservation. That's really near and dear to my heart. Mostly because, like, video games as a coping mechanism are going by the wayside as video games as a service have taken over. And well, entertainment as a service in general. I think I may have brought this up in an earlier episode, but it happened with books. It happened with books where my very first like e-reading service thing I ever tried, even though they were like open source books that were, you know, past their date so anybody could read them, this e-reading software said, you know, you have to be connected to the internet at least once every couple days or you lose access to your books. And I said, well, what happens, you know, if I'm camping for an extended period of time? And they're like, well, you're going to have to go back into town and check the internet. Because I didn't want to say, what happens if the internet shuts off? Because they go, well, what do you mean? I've had that conversation with a few tech companies before that require always online. What do you mean, what if we shut down someday? And they just shut down themselves. They mentally shut down. So that was my huge wake-up call to start saving books as PDFs, which, side note, there's like a huge lawsuit. It's not the Library of Congress. Some big digital library which started sharing more of their books digitally during COVID since the libraries were shut down, which is a whole different topic. They're now being sued by like the 7 biggest publishers or something like that for loaning out, in air quotes, digital copies of their books. Well, we're not getting paid for this now because you're like a big digital library and you're loaning them out and you can't claw them back or whatever. But like, which is just this whole big technocracy, technocratic empire of like gatekeeping books by having, you know, software be able to like take books away from people. And yes, everybody should be getting paid, but like, let's not pretend like the books that I read as a kid, which I have huge chunks of those stories memorized. Let's not pretend if I go buy a new copy of that book now that that author or their family are even getting any money. And I've said the same thing about music before. A song can get stuck in your head. If they could find a way to tax you every time you even listened to a song in your, or thought about a song in your head, they would. Right? But they can't. It's the same thing with books. Like, in movies to an extent. Do I think that means you should go sail the 7 seas and privateer everything? No, because if there's some modern, hey buddy, if there's some modern way that you could be supporting those people, I think you should, if you can. And wholesale privateering means that the things that you like are never going to be financially supported, in which case you're just an idiot. But I also think stealing things as a form of protesting is also just ridiculous. That doesn't do any good. So, but digital preservation is still really important. And much like my homeless conversation earlier, if you can't emotionally like parse out why you do what you do, then you probably need to be rethinking your life. Like, if you have cats, but you have to steal cat food, or if you have babies, but you need to be stealing all your diapers and formula, but you want to blame other people for it, then you really need to be rethinking things. Ethically speaking, anyway. But like, after shit hits the fan, nobody's going to be making new movies anyway. But if you're going to steal a TV show that you really like, that's a modern TV show that still has actors that are still working, and the collapse happens, would you rather have 3 or 4 seasons of your show to watch, or only 1 season because everybody pirated the show? And it's the same with books. But there's also books. Hey, you little monster. The cat's taking my bag of cough drops. No. He goes, but it makes crinkle noises. Like, there's some like manuals and handbooks and stuff that are like historical that aren't going to be getting new editions, and the author is long gone. Physical copies of those books might not even exist anymore, or whoever's printing them isn't reimbursing anybody from the family anymore. And it may be more valuable to you to have a digital copy, or it may be more valuable to you to try to own one of the originals. So one of the books that I picked up recently is Stephen Runciman's, I'm going to mess his name up, sorry, A History of Crusades, Part 1, The First Crusade. This book was made back in 1950 something. It's when the copyright's 1951. Like, it's an awesome book, and I can't wait to read it. Owning a digital copy of it would be neat, you know, but like, I also hate reading digital copies of books. They are notoriously hard to read if they're scans. Comic books are the same way too. Like, scans of comic books, even like the official ones or whatever, like, it was different when they put comic books on like CD-ROM. But even then, like, your monitor just isn't like the right size for a comic, because like, you can take the comic and, you know, put the comic book closer to your face to like read things, and with a monitor unless the comic is like at a really high resolution, it's almost like it needs the sensor to detect you're moving it closer to your face, and then try to zoom in the part that you're looking at by trying to see what your eye's looking at. So that would be cool. But like, that's not how digital reading works. Even though that's intuitively how our brain works. Because zooming in and out, like Microsoft Word on my phone, the scroll up and down to like scroll through the whole book is on my right hand side, which is also how I thumb from page to page. So it's easy to accidentally scroll like 200 pages when I'm just moving to the next page. Like, they don't factor those things in, so I've started scrolling from page to page using my left thumb instead of my right, so I don't accidentally scroll 200 pages instead of down one line. Yeah, so digital preservation's like really interesting. It's easy to sort and scroll through books faster if you need to find a reference. But I certainly don't think that like saving a book about surgery is going to help you do live surgery on somebody, unless you have like an AI that can read through the book and plug it into like your digital, you know, surgery machine, where it conjures an AI that read through all your source material and can do surgery now, which we're not quite technically there yet. So I think a lot of digital preservation boils down to, you're going to be sitting in a bunker for a long time, and you're going to need lots of movies, music, and books to keep you entertained and amused, and to keep you from going insane. And you might say, well, why isn't the bunker book digital then? Because, you know, a lot of preppers have their digital library as a backup. And I think if you find a bunker in the future, whether it's a shipping container or a storm shelter, it's going to have some kind of library, because people have been reading by candlelight since the dawn of time, or firelight, or whatever, you know. Cave drawings. Do you think they had light bulbs in their caves with their cave drawings? No, of course not. Don't. Yeah. Plus, I don't want my book to get pirated, because I would like if people actually supported me so I could make more content. But like, once I'm gone, you know, and my family isn't going to be getting any of the money. Me and a friend of mine used to have like lots of copyright arguments. Not arguments, like healthy debates. Like, once I'm gone, and anybody in my direct family who could have benefited from it, I think it should be free, you know, sans any distribution costs. Because, like, what did, you know, I don't have a publisher, but even if I did, what did those bastards do besides, like, just take your money? You're just gonna make that publisher rich forever? Like, are they really taking that money and investing it into new people that you would align with? No, of course not. They don't give a shit. Unless you find some really good publisher somewhere that's like based, like hell based, then great. Anyway, I've been rambling for quite a while. Let's see. About an hour and 20 minutes. Whoops. And that's usually a good time to call it, and Ringo keeps crawling all over me. So I still have a lot more topics to go. Oh yeah, video games. A lot of my video games that were coping mechanisms have all shut down because they were all services, and that just made me realize more how important digital preservation is, because the DS, 3DS eShops are closing down today. And short of sailing the 7 seas and doing some kind of homebrewed cart thing, a huge chunk of those games will never be able to be purchased again. And some of the people that made those games, unfortunately, have already passed away. The rights holder to this franchise that I really, really liked, even though he only got to make a couple games, I found out that he passed away 5 years ago. Granted, I know those video games aren't free. Like, the money's going somewhere. You know, and think about that for a second. He passed away, and there's no way to figure out where the money's going. But after today, those games won't be purchasable anymore, because a lot of the updates that he made were digital only, and those shops are closing down. And very, very, very few people made, you know, saved those so they could be played. But I don't know if anybody has sat down and made, you know, what essentially would be illegal digital copies of the games. But it's illegal, but the guy passed away 5 years ago, and they won't be legally purchasable anymore. And we still don't have laws in this country, as far as I know, about being able to preserve content that you legally paid for. There's just so many games, like, it breaks my heart. And oh, you're a prepper, but you spend money on video games, like, very, very tiny amount. Yeah, it could go to a couple extra cans of food or something, but like, whether it's books, movies, or like very simple, you know, video games, Tetris. Sometimes you need a little bit of light in the darkness. But unless you do like homebrew on a handheld or a tablet or something, I guess you could like legally, of course, throw a bunch of games on an SD card, so you could like play them in the apocalypse or something, and like that's going to be all that's left of our culture, So I suggest legally, of course, putting some games and some movies and some books on an SD card, maybe some games if you know how to do that. Throw them in a Faraday bag, and again, store the battery separate if you can, or make sure it breathes sometimes so it doesn't turn into an explodey device. That'd be dangerous, or could leak or corrode and ruin everything. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna leave with that, and I appreciate you all. And next episode will be me talking through the Bunker Book hardbound. I promise. I just had to get those pre-orders done really fast so I could get the orders out before things get crazy. There's no more pre-orders on those. You'll have to order them from the website if you want them. The book is great quality, and I think I've resolved that any new Bunker Book stuff will be in like a little mini companion book someday. It won't be anytime soon, just because I can't take on any more writing right now. And I still haven't heard anything back if people would prefer the card game next, or the or a comic book. So I'm just gonna hold off, I guess, until more people have an opinion, which is fine, because I think really big things are coming very, very, very soon. So I hope all this makes sense, and I appreciate you all. And I know I don't shout out other YouTubers a lot, but check out Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. He really hits the nail on the head. He says things way better than I can. And I'm still waiting for another YouTube channel to fully review my book. So if you're another YouTube channel and you're listening to this, check out my Bunker book and review it, please, because I could really use the help. And I appreciate you all. And if you're one of the 2 people that listen to this whole thing, then I really appreciate you. And I'll talk to you all later about my book. Bye.